What up, guys? It's Phil with Phil's Lawn Care.
Hey, it's Aaron with the Mowing in the Dark Lawn Care Podcast.
Hey guys, Cameron here with the Lawn Care Life in Missouri.
Hey everyone, this is Evan with Turf Nerds, a lawn care podcast.
Hey guys, this is Dan White with Lawn Care Unscripted.
And you're listening to the Lawn Care Talk with Tony Rudolph.
What's up, guys? Hope you're doing great. This is really cool. I got a friend of mine on the line, which always makes podcasting fun. Getting to have someone on here, it's awesome. Couple housekeeping things before we get rolling. I hope that all of you guys that are listening to this podcast are going to come to Equip Expo this year. Promo code Tony in all caps. Actually, I don't know if it matters if it's caps or not, but promo code Tony will get you 50% off your ticket. Go ahead and grab that. It will only be $12.50 right now. Such an amazing deal for what it is. And also, if you enjoy this podcast, just like I enjoy all the lawn podcasts while I'm out mowing, it really helps us keep each other company. So if you enjoy that, even besides me, even other ones that you guys listen to, try to do like my friend did that's on here right now today. Send them an email or something. Just, let them know that they're not just talking into the air. You know what I mean? If they if they have a podcast like other lawn guys. And leave them a rating on Spotify if you could, or wherever you listen, because that helps. That helps a lot. So anyway, those are the housekeeping things, as they say. And now we're going to get into the interview. So how you doing, bud? Tell people your name, where you're from and stuff like that. I can see from your number, it looks like you're from Rhode Island. And, I want to tell a little bit about why did you even think about getting started in the business? Did you just grow up doing it diapers? I don't know. Tell that part, and then, and then tell kind of current, what you do right now, what type of flow you have right now, So yeah.
Sure. So my name's Kevin Medeiros, and I have K Medeiros and Son Lawn Care, and I'm over here in Rhode Island, East Coast, New England. And let's see, I got in the business. I started my business in 2017. Kind of like most people, kind of part-time, and then really got going full-time in 2020. I'm primarily solo. I work primarily detailed landscape maintenance. I try to kind of keep it to certain type of work, similar to you, Tony, as far as like quality-wise and the client-wise. But I was a automotive guy most of my career. I'm in my early 40s, and I just was always interested in this stuff. My dad was a landscaper, but I kind of wanted to change, wanted to be my own boss, move my own hours around, things like that, And I just started to research it, do a little bit on the side. I had picked up a couple of accounts that were my dad's to just that's what kind of got me started. And then as I got interested in it more, I decided to go figure it all out and make it more professional. So that's where I'm at now. And
so overall, you're still pretty new, though, it sounds like, because didn't you said 2019, 2020? Is that what you said?
Yeah, that's when I went full time. So what I did was I used to work for the public transit company in our state, repairing the buses. But I had been in the automotive business for a while, and I transitioned out of that. I didn't just quit my job. I slowly. And then what I did is I went into work for a local nursery to kind of get a little bit of plant ID under me, and then I got an opportunity with a local landscape guy, you might know him, Paul Camara from
Yeah.
So I got an opportunity I met him, opportunity to work for him for a season. Really, kind of took me under his wing, and it's been pretty great. Ever since then, things are going pretty good. Just trying to figure it all out and honing my skills and honing the business. What I want out of the business. But yeah. That's basically where I'm at right now.
So that's awesome. So it's pretty cool because I don't run into many guys that do a similar type business as me, but it sounds like the type of maintenance you do is kind of similar, like the ones that I do. So that's really cool. Even though it's
when I watch your videos, it definitely rings a bell. Obviously, you being in Georgia and me being in I mean, we don't do pine straw and things like that up
Right,
here,
right.
but you being solo and a lot of the things that you implement, I kind of, I do similar things in that way,
Yeah,
and I just
yeah.
look, yeah. So
So that
it makes it interesting. It's why it's nice to listen to you too. Sometimes I feel like it's you know, you can relate or I relate to it, I guess. So yeah,
yeah,
kind of
because
neat.
it's kind of hard to find guys that are not just, mow and go guys, you know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah,
Which there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, I think that's
right.
cool, like
Yeah,
but it is neat to that's why it's neat, like Paul Camara, like some of these guys like that, it's really neat. Um,
hmm
Jacob Marino, I don't know if you know him. He's in Florida, which does even much different, crazier plants
yeah.
than me, but um, man, yeah, I love watching his work too. So, how did you find out about my podcast? Did you find like my channel first, my YouTube
Uh,
videos or something?
yeah, I think I might have watched your YouTube video. I've known about your podcast. I listen to every episode. I listen to a lot of the is it
Yep,
LCB? I
LCBU.
forget. Yeah, yeah. I listened to a lot of those over last summer. And being that I'm solo, I'm always looking for something to listen to, and which you talk about on the podcast as well, like just having something. And I think it's Cameron
Yep, yep,
Duncan that I listen
yep,
to. Obviously, I listened to Julio.
yep.
I did an interview with Julio a couple years ago, and so yeah. I mean, I think I found you first on YouTube.
I gotcha.
Um,
I gotcha.
it might have been when I was shopping for mowers, like that far back,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
years
That
ago.
definitely could
Yeah,
be because I got a lot of videos like talking
yeah,
about different mowers, this and that. Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Um.
But no, I just like watching your family and your dad and your kids and everything. It's a good. It's like your. It's like a wholesome podcast. I don't, I tend to shy away from the ones that I feel like are full of fluff and trying to sell me stuff. So I don't feel that way about you and many of the guys that you share with. So.
Yes. Yeah. I got it. Yeah, and I take that as a huge compliment that you feel that way because that's and hopefully even when people meet me in real life, that's how they feel because yeah, I mean that's all I really have. I don't have anything else. Not I don't I'm not fancy enough to, I'm not gonna tell you I can do something that I can't do. So
Right, yeah.
so yeah, I understand that. I get that, and it's this is just a podcast of me. Sometimes it's me in the truck while I'm going mowing or dealing with something in my business or whatever. Like you're saying, like I'm just it's one solo guy to another guy. It doesn't matter if the other guy is solo, but still, that's the perspective that I come at it from, and I really enjoy my business. I mean, today went out, done a bunch of stuff, bunch of mulch, and we do some mulch. I have 4 or 5 houses that have mulch like around the house maybe, and then like the outer
Yep.
perimeter beds they do straw. You know what I mean? So maybe they do both, and so yeah. So I think I did 8 yards like of mulch last Friday or something at this one house. And so yeah, I'm doing it. Hands and knees.
Yep.
Spreading it around,
Yeah.
and use the dyed brown mulch. I mean, I like that stuff. It's cool. Um,
hmm
it's bold, but it's still not. I mean, you still do see a lot. Every tiny little thing pretty good, but it's less bad than the straight black. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, yeah, yeah. I do get customers that I prefer the natural mulches, the hemlocks or like a pine bark. We do get I do get customers that love that dyed black mulch. Your hands turn black when you're using
yep,
it.
yep.
It basically you got to make the customer happy. So
Right.
I'll do it. I'll do it. It's not my favorite, but I'll do it.
And that's
Yeah.
actually something, man, like I'm finding that some of these jobs after I get done, I got a few spots like just from, shoveling it out of the trailer, like I'm leaving footprints on the driveway, you know what I mean? Like from the dye
Yeah, yeah.
on the mulch,
Yep.
you know what I'm saying?
Yep. Yep.
um, and I don't know what really I can do about that because I'm going all around the house. What am I going to, put a tarp on there and entire, long driveway because there's beds up and down it and stuff. I don't know. I haven't figured out a really good solution for that other than, I got one of those. It's like a little brush that you can put on your drill, and
Yep.
so I just pull out their water hose and just kind of agitate it just a little bit, boom, and it rinses right off. That seems to even work better than when I brung my little pressure washer out there. Just a little bit of brush agitation. I don't know. It seems to work. It works really good. It comes right off if you do that.
Sure.
So yeah, so that's what I do, and that's cool. That's cool that it's really cool you're set up in Rhode Island. Even though, like you're saying, even though your plants and stuff are a little different, but it's still kind of same thing, that we do. So tell people a little bit, like, what kind of setup do you have? Like, what kind of equipment are you running? How many properties you're doing? What is your schedule through the week? Are you doing 6 days a week? Like, what are you doing like that?
So when the season kicks in, I'm mowing 4 days a week. So I mow Monday through Thursday, and I save Friday for right now we're doing, I'm in spring cleanup mode, so the schedule's all over the place. But Fridays normally will be like any extra hedge trimming, mulch jobs, anything like that. But I have about 30 or so weekly customers. I only mow weekly customers. I kind of stay away from bi-weekly things.
Yep, I do as well.
Yep. For my setup, Chevy 250, Chevy 2500 with I have like the dump insert.
Oh, that's awesome.
Popular.
Yeah,
we collect. Well, it's pretty normal to collect grass here. So most landscapers collect grass. So you need a way to take the grass out. I run a Exmark Navigator.
Okay.
48. That's a pretty good machine. And I have a Exmark Metro. I have a 48 Metro and a 32. And a little Honda push mower. So between all three of those mowers, it gets me a pretty good setup.
So for guys out there listening, this is only audio. So an Exmark Metro, that thing is a belt drive walk behind, right?
Yes. So my very first mower was my dad's hand-me-down 48 Metro, which I still have. And I think, in my opinion, I have not used anything. I've used a lot of mowers. I haven't used anything that quite cuts as good as that machine does. But
that thing is not even a floating deck, is it? You still got to move the spacers up front
correct.
and all that?
Yes, correct. And it's got a Kawasaki that I call it the apocalyptic Kawasaki because I can leave gas in that thing for like 4 years and it'll start its second pull every time. It's unreal. But I wasn't using it that much because it being a 48, like there's really no reason that I was using it.
Right.
I needed a 32 to get in the back gates. So just this past winter, I actually bought they're old machines, so they're hard to find in good condition. So I found a 32 with the Kawasaki in pretty good shape. I picked that up. So I just like the simplicity of it.
Yeah, why did you choose that over instead of like getting like a turf tracer or whatever else?
I do miss having a stand on. I've had the V rides and the turf tracer is nice as far as it being hydraulic and everything. I just wanted something. I don't have that many back gates, so I just wanted something that like was simple, that wasn't going to be another something that I have to maintain too much.
Right.
And going from the 48 Metro, like I said, I barely do anything to this thing. So I was like, belts every now and then. There's nothing that really go wrong. It's cheap, keep your costs low kind of thing.
Yep.
I've been good at that anyway, and I'm even getting better at that. Like, just keep my costs low so that, like, basically I'm trying not to work just to work for mowers.
Right.
That makes sense.
Absolutely.
So
yes.
Just trying to keep on all of my stuff. I try to keep even my hand tools, keep them up to good shape. Buy everything's expensive now. You're buying brakes for like $40. It's crazy. Making sure they all last as long as possible and all that good stuff. But the 32, I've only used it a little bit so far, and it's just as good as that 48. But yeah, it's a good machine. And then I've had a Honda. I've always had a Honda push mower. I think everyone's had a Honda push mower at some point.
Yes, yeah, they're awesome. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know how readily available they are nowadays, but I had a couple different ones, over the
Yeah, I'm
years.
wondering about that. Like,
Um,
if I should buy a couple and stash them away because they no longer they're no longer making them. So I don't know, if it's worth getting a couple and just putting them in the shed or something and just locking them away.
yeah.
Uh,
I mean, I think as far as push mowers, I think the battery ones are going to kind of take over, especially in a 21 size.
sure, that's what I was
Um,
thinking too. But yeah,
because like I have a Ryobi 21 inch. I just bought it just for fun like a couple of years ago,
yep,
and that thing is amazing. That is my favorite push mower that I've ever used.
yep,
As far as a 21, I mean, like it's it has that composite deck, plastic deck basically,
super
and
light.
super
Yeah,
light, yes, and it's cool because it's battery. So like if it starts, if it's wet and it's getting, you can tell that it's clumping up. You just let go of the little trigger and pull your battery out if
yeah,
you want to be safe. But then you just flip it up on its side. I mean, there's no gas, there's no oil. There's nothing.
yeah, yeah.
Scrape it out, throw it back down, press the button, it turns on, you go. It's got little LED headlights. Like it's awesome. Like
I just started dabbling into some electric stuff. I I'd like to get into still stuff because a lot of
Yep.
my like I already have all of their combi system.
Yep. Yep.
The a little out of my price range right now, just to play around with it. So I went with Makita because I have a lot of Makita stuff anyway.
Makita
So
makes
for
an
now,
awesome product.
I got their double, the two battery, the two 18-volt battery handheld blower, which I didn't know I needed until I got one, and I love that thing. Um, and I bought the string trimmer,
Yep. Yep.
the two 18-volt battery string trimmer. That's taking a little while to get used to. Um, I can't really say for sure yet about the I mean, it's nice to use. It definitely, like, I could get used to it not being, the noise and all that good stuff. Um, the feel of the trigger, and we do a lot of deep bed edging around here, real sharp edging. So you got to kind of keep a longer string on your trimmer, and
Yep.
usually,
Yep.
like, we run it full throttle on our two strokes. So I don't know the comparison there, as far as that goes. I've been using it here and there. It's definitely, I don't know if it's going to work on some of my bigger properties, but I'm just trying it out, and I'm eager to try all of them out. I do, like I said, for hedge trimming, I'd love to get the still stuff just because I already have all their combi attachments, and they seem to make a good product from electric, from what I understand.
Absolutely. Yeah. I wonder if you can keep an eye out, like in your area on Marketplace or stuff. Like if someone buys any steel equipment and then they're not used to electric, and so they just don't like it or whatever, and boom, that'd be a
Right.
good opportunity to pick something up, like that. Um,
Yeah,
because
you've been buying a lot of them on eBay, right? You've been,
yeah, over the years,
yeah,
I bought a lot of
yeah,
Milwaukee, like the tools themselves, and that's been great. I mean, I've had zero regrets doing that. Like
yeah,
everything. Some of the batteries and stuff can be not genuine, even if you think they are, kind of thing. When you're buying those on
sure,
eBay. But as far as like the tools themselves, really,
yep.
no problem buy those on there, and even the batteries too. But um,
Be
so
weary.
yeah, well, I mean, yeah, it's just there are some. Not that I have a few aftermarket ones that are not even trying to be genuine, and those are super cheap. They work very good for what they are.
Yep, yep.
But so if you're running a Makita 18 volt, I wonder how that works, because do they have one that's made to be like high output, like high drain? Because
So
that
the ones I have two 18-volt batteries. So it's a 36-volt
right. Yeah, but
machine. Yeah, so
I
you need
mean,
to have both.
yes, but I mean each battery itself, if they're not designed to be able to unload at a little
Yep,
bit higher of a draw than, let's say, a drill or stuff like that,
yep, yep.
they don't work the same. They get hot. They
Right, right. I
um,
don't know. I know you mean like how Milwaukee has like their what's their new battery called? I forget.
Well, the Forge is the new battery, but
Yeah, right.
But even if you don't have Forge, one that is made to be used on a tool that can draw a lot. Like for example, like the Milwaukee one, like if you just take a regular like a 5 amp hour that you use on your angle grinder or whatever like that, it works okay in the string trimmer, but the battery gets hot. It doesn't it's not really made to draw down that much current, like as as one of those tools needs. So like that's going to make a huge difference in your experience. And I'm sure Makita has different batteries. I mean, Makita stuff is just as quality, as Milwaukee or any of them other ones. But you got to read up on that because like even Milwaukee,
I'll have to investigate.
Yeah, because Milwaukee, like even before they have the Forge thing, like for example, like a 8 amp hour and up, is a high output battery. It just works a little differently, and it does not get hot nearly as much and can be drawn down, at that rate and still be okay. So like, like the 5 amp hour one that I had for years, I use them in an angle grinder or whatever. I don't even attempt to use that in any of the tools. Like for
I believe, as far as I know, because I have Makita drills and all different types of Makita tools. So I'm interchanging all of the they're all 5 amp hour, or I think I have a couple of 6 amp hour batteries. But yeah, I'm using all of those. So you're probably right there where I'm using standard batteries.
Because I know I had the Makita. I tried the Makita 40 volt line blower, and that thing was awesome. They have the, what is it called, like XGT or something like that.
Yeah, right.
And that is a very good line. Now, because there's 2 in there and it jumps it to 36 volt, that could change, but I don't know. I don't know if that.
I'll have to research that.
Yeah, you may need to ask. Like,
I didn't go with the 40 only because I already had the 18 volt platform. So I said, I'm saving on, and I've done pretty good at kind of doing what you do, where I'm watching the deals wherever I'm getting them, like through either Amazon or Home Depot, on Home Depot's website, and I'll get like I've got like 3 dual battery chargers now, and I'll get a dual battery charger and 2 batteries or a tool or something for the cost of like 1 battery or 2 batteries, and that's how I've been picking up a stash of batteries, and so far I'm like I said, I'm using the handheld blower. Obviously I'm not doing like full on leaf cleaning with the handheld blower, but I have it hanging inside. I have an enclosed trailer, and I have it inside the man door, and it's just like, you're about to leave the site that you're on. You just got to blow off the walkway or whatever.
Right. Yes.
Blow off the trailer. It's just ideal for that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I ask those things because you gotta make sure you have the right batteries for what you're doing, because it's just like if you let's say you had one of those a Troy built curve shaft gas weed eater, with the little pull cord that's like up on top of the thing. So if you buy that and you use it in your business and you say, oh man, if someone bought that, could I say, oh, gas string trimmers, they don't work well, they're junk, right? No, because you see what I mean? It's that same kind of thing. Yeah. So
I got you.
Just because it's electric, you got to make sure you have the right setup, like the same way, like with the gas ones, like, there's very different, gas trimmers. And what I'm saying is even in the 18 volt platform of Makita, I'm sure there are differences in their battery. You could reach out to definitely talk to them about it at the expo if you go. Because they'll have set up there. Because it's just, something to keep in mind, because, I'm assuming that there is difference there, just like there would be on any brand. But that's cool. So
I belong to our local landscaping association, our nursery and landscaping association. I'm actually on the second year on the board, and we've been dealing with some legislation where our state is attempting to ban gas powered stuff And they change the bills here and there, and we've battled it back and forth because we're not anti-electric tools, but sometimes some of the bills that they've put forth are just like overreach. They, last season they tried banning like all gas powered, even like wood chippers. So we had to deal with that. But we're doing we're kind of collaborating with some officials and trying to get like some electric blower rebates and things like that. Just to get the feel out and see how it works and see what thing, I do think the blower thing is going to be the biggest challenge, and maybe big commercial one,
Absolutely.
if you're,
yes.
If you've got a big company with 30, 50 employees and you're mowing acreage, that's going to be challenging right now. I'm sure at some point, like everything, the technology will improve and the costs will come down. I mean, once you use a piece of electric equipment, hedge trimming is becoming, people are definitely dabbling into electric hedge trimming. And once you use a piece of electric equipment that works well, you kind of become sold on it. But like you said, it could be electric or gas. If it's not the right tool for the job,
right,
it doesn't
right.
really, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what it's powered by. But it's neat. It's neat. Like I said, I watch all of Julio's videos and his podcast, and I've talked to him a couple times and stuff. And on his setup, his size, his lawns and everything, it's ideal.
Right.
Obviously, that wouldn't necessarily transition to other people's businesses, but it is neat to see what's out there. And I've watched all the videos. I'm playing around with a little in-trailer charging station, like kind of mocking up version 1.0 right now.
Yes, that's cool.
With some deep cycle, kind of like I'm sure you've seen Solar Punk. I think it's Solar Punk Steve.
Yep.
Yeah, similar to something like that. Just playing around with it right now. Again, it's kind of cost prohibitive right now, but that seems to be where things will end up eventually. So.
Well, I bought a 200 amp hour lithium deep cycle 12-volt battery. I bought one a few months ago, and then I have a pure sine 500 watt, pure sine inverter. And I paid $329 for the battery, like $55 for the inverter, something like that. And then probably another $50 or $60 for a lithium charger, to charge the lithium deep cycle
exactly
battery.
Like the setup.
Right?
Yeah, that's similar to what I got going on. Yep.
And then I can charge even that big 12.0 battery. So let's say you had a 12.0 18-volt battery. You could charge that approximately about 12 or 13 times, like from all the way dead. So your 6 amp hours, you should be able to do those like 20-something times. You see what I mean?
Right. I'm trying to do the math. Like I started doing some of the math to try and figure out, how many times I can do it. But there's also like loss. Obviously, the inverter. There's some inverter loss. There's the charger loss. So like now that I've done some of the math, it's just a matter of actually like physically trying it out. There's going to be some heat loss like I said, in the enclosed trailer. But my idea eventually is to have so everything's mounted, like my Makita chargers or Still or whoever I use will be mounted in the trailer, and if I can get my hand tools, first step, get like the string trimmer and get those hand tools situated. I think I stand a good chance. That would be an improvement. And being primarily a solo guy, it kind of works out because it's not like I'm string trimming one job to the next. As I'm mowing, the string trimmer is not being used, and then you move on to the next one, so forth. So where the challenge becomes is if you have like a 3 or 4 man crew where that string trimmer is just on the go, now you're going to need multiple batteries. Like you won't. I don't know if you'd be able to charge fast,
And so what helps with that, with the inefficiency, is that only have an inverter as big as what you need. So like
Right. Right. Yeah. So you don't have that much loss. Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
So like if you
Yeah.
have if your charger pulls your Makita charger, if you look on the bottom and it says it pulls 295 watts, well, you can get a 300 watt pure sine inverter, and pure sine makes a difference too because the waves are like
Right.
smoother and it's more efficient. So like
Yep.
don't mess with one that's not pure sine. It has to be pure
Right.
sine. Um,
Yep.
and so if you do that, that it really shaves that inefficiency. Now, I I bet Makita has one because Milwaukee has one too. If you really wanted to get nerd out about it, you could get the 12-volt one that like goes in your cigarette lighter,
Mm-hmm.
and then just wire that straight to the battery with no inverter, and then there's virtually no inefficiency loss.
You mean like an actual charger, like the brand's charger that is it's all one unit.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
So I'm 90% sure that Makita has one too, but it's made so like you could. I mean, it's going to look just like similar, probably this whatever charger you have, like that comes with your drill, but
Right.
it's made for a 12-volt. Now it's going to charge a little bit slower because
Sure.
it's not
Yeah.
outputting as much, but it's made so that you could top off your battery. Let's say you had drill batteries and you're driving to a job site,
Yeah.
in your truck that's an hour away or something, boom, that thing will be charged. You know, Milwaukee's had one forever. I'm sure Makita has one. Like, that's not a new thing. Those are old school.
Yeah. Right. I actually, it's funny because I've always kept a drill, an impact driver on the trailer for whatever reason. But the challenge always is, I keep them in the trailer, and it's like, all right, and I have the Makita chainsaw that I've had for a couple of years now. So I said, but there's no point of having this stuff if I don't keep the batteries charged with me.
Right.
So my Chevy has a 110 outlet. It's a small inverter built into the truck. It'll power up perfectly fine. It'll power up the single battery 18-volt, and I almost forgot that I keep that. That's in my truck all the time, like in my center console plugged in. The only downside is that obviously only charges as the
Right.
truck's running. But I'm driving around with that thing 365 days a year, and it's just there because the tool is always with me anyway. So I tried plugging in the dual battery charger into the inverter because the wattage was close. I said, maybe there's some give in it.
Right.
And it doesn't like it. It tries and attempts. It'll charge if the batteries are dead flat. It'll do the cycle test where it tests the batteries, and then it just kicks itself out. It's like, nope, it doesn't want to do it. But if I only have one battery on the charger, it will, because the dual Makita charger charges both batteries at the same time. It's not in an order.
So it's going to draw a little bit more.
Yeah. So once both batteries kick on, it must have the truck must have some kind of internal breaker, because it doesn't blow a fuse or anything, but it just shuts itself off. so that's not going to work. But it will charge. It will charge with the one battery charger, and I just keep it plugged in all the time. And I always have at least one battery that's good to go. So
yeah, I gotcha. Yeah, I'm looking on the Makita website right now. It looks like they do have some.
I think for their outdoor tools, they're trying to push more of the 40-volt.
Yeah, but I mean on the 18-volt side, because
right.
18-volt, but like it uses 12-volt power.
Sure.
And it looks like maybe even they have, like, sometimes brands will have these little ones that like it's like small and it just like slides right on the battery, like almost the same size as the battery. You know what I'm saying?
I know what you mean. Yeah. So, I've seen those. Yep.
Yeah, so technically you could take that and put that straight on the deep cycle battery, but the thing is that it's going to be slow. It doesn't. It's made so it doesn't blow your car. So that means it's not going to charge it super fast. So
right.
So for me, I'm willing to give up a little bit of efficiency so that I can charge them fast. You know what I mean? So
yes.
So the I mean, I can run the Milwaukee supercharger on the 500 watt inverter, and that thing pulls almost 500 watts. So that's like it's a lot of current that it's drawing. So
and then what are you doing when you get home? Are you you're charging that deep cycle back in again?
Well, not every day, because I try to charge all the batteries up at home, just like on a regular multi-bay charger in my garage. Like the actual Milwaukee batteries. So they're all full when I leave home, and so I end up topping them off here and there through the day. And then maybe a few of them are kind of close to dead when I get home. Boom, I throw those couple back on the charger. And so the deep cycle battery, I only charge that maybe like once a week or something like that. You know what I mean?
Oh, I see. Okay. Yep.
Because, I'm never doing a full 12. That's probably a week's worth of, topping things off here or there. You see what I mean?
Yeah. All right. What's the logistics of you? I mean, like, I mean this in the most simplest form of you grabbing all of your batteries and bringing them in the house, because it sounds so silly, or not in the house or into your garage, wherever.
Yeah.
But that sounds so silly. But like that's sometimes like I haven't come up with a good solution. I've got them all like a bag, and I'm like bringing them in and out. Like, there's got to be a better way than this. So.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have a secret for that. I've done the bag thing here and there. Sometimes, some guys, like Milwaukee has this charger where it's like 6 and it has a handle on the top, and they kind of hang around the sides. So some guys that use them for lawn care, they'll like bring that charger, like unplug it, bring it out their truck, put all the batteries on there, the 6 batteries on the charger.
Sure. Yep.
You know what I mean? And then just carry the handle back in, plug it in, boom. You could do that. But generally, I'm only bringing in 2 to 3 ones that are dead.
Okay.
And then I just carry them in my hands, put them on the charger in the morning. Load them up just with my cup of water and just all the stuff, that you load up in the morning.
What are you getting for runtime on your Milwaukee string trimmer?
So on a 12 amp hour, I mean, you can get almost an hour and a half, like on low setting. And again, that all kind of varies, just like a gas one. Like if you're doing a cleanup, cutting grass that's 3 foot tall, that string trimmer gas one's going to burn a lot of fuel. You know what I mean? So it's like it's kind of that same thing. For us doing the weekly touching up everything, I get 2-3 lawns at least, out of one battery. 4, I think I did 4 today. With one, just one 18 volt, 12. So I do pretty good. Obviously, the blower draws the most. Even the handheld blower, you can run it down with that. Hedge trimmer, you can run like a week on one battery. So like, that's not really even a concern. And yeah, I mean, the blowers that's their problem. Just like the gas ones, like in the gas world, the blowers draw way more gas than everything else, that there is. And that's just, like your 2-stroke gas, 80% of that's going in the blower, backpack blower, you know what I mean?
Right, yeah.
So, yeah, it kind of works that same way. And hopefully they can keep working on the technology, because like you're saying, if any company can figure out a blower that really lasts a long time, that you can wear on your back, like that'll be cool. Which, I mean, I know they have, like even the Milwaukee one and stuff, they have them. But again, you're getting, even with a couple batteries on there, you're getting 30 minutes. You know what I mean? So
yeah. I mean, like, we might in fall, we have a lot of leaves here. We do a lot of leaf cleanup, and you're talking like 8 to 9, 10, 12 hours sometimes.
Yes. Yeah, me as well. Yep.
Yeah, that becomes unrealistic. Real fast.
And I mean, I know the so the Crest one, you can recharge that quicker, like the one Julio has. And it might have a little bit more runtime than that, but not a ton. Like it's not going to last, over an hour.
I recently watched a video YouTube, and I forget who it was now. It wasn't a landscaping company, but he did like a little shootout. And it might be about a year-old video, or like 6 months old. And I think Steel and like, was it Greenworks or something? They had the longest run times, and I know they were pretty good. The Crest runtime was like lower than I thought it was going to be, but obviously it has that super fast charge time. But still, I'm not sure. Like, I really like this little handheld blower, and I think it could have been any electric handheld blower. I just didn't realize how much I would use it. I like that. I don't know, like you said, the electric backpack blowers would have to come a long way before it makes sense. I mean, it'd be nice just to have, just like I use the electric, the hand one. It'd be nice just to do, for like the day-to-day things for a backpack one. But I'm not sure if I want to spend the dough yet for something that I'm not going to use that often.
Right. Yes.
As it is in the summertime, I don't use, like, I've got Echo blowers, and I don't really use like the 90-10 or 80-10. I don't use any of that stuff come summertime.
Right.
I want to use the lightest thing on my back as possible,
I wanna experiment with a battery backpack blower as well. Milwaukee has a new one that came out, and I may buy that eventually. One time I did have a Cobalt one, which I liked, which is basically made by Greenworks, but it's like their residential one, and it was cool. It was neat. Because it was really cool. Also, something, if you decide, I didn't even do a podcast about this yet, I don't think, but I ended up, I bought an enclosed trailer a few months ago, and I insulated the ceiling and the walls and stuff, and that makes a huge difference, like with heat transfer inside.
Okay.
And whether you guys listening, like, whether it's whether it's sorry, my wife was asking me something, but whether it's gas or battery, it would help a ton, because then you're not getting, like even the other day I brung my Echo handheld blower, and it, we're kind of in that time where it's like it's cool in the morning, but then, like, it gets hot in lunch time, like here in Georgia. So those, like even gas equipment, like that swing, like the thing doesn't want to start. You know what I mean?
Yeah, vapor locks and stuff. Yeah.
So if you do that in your enclosed trailer, like, it would help a lot with that, even if you run nothing that's battery.
Right.
It's just that, because I did that with mine. You can go in there like later in the afternoon. It's just like anything else that's insulated. It's like by the time it's night, it'll feel hotter out or inside of there than it would outside, if that makes sense.
Sure, yeah. My trailer gets hot, especially if I'm on like the bigger properties where I'm there longer.
Yeah.
You're not moving because it doesn't have any. It's got vents, but you'd obviously have to be moving, and they get warm. I mean, obviously, but I didn't think of that. Like this, it's got a metal ceiling that's just sitting there,
right,
getting super hot the whole time.
Yeah. So like I bought this, it's like a plywood, but it's foam. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Insulation board. And then I just, just like you would like a house or anything, get as tight as you can in between the joists, and then, add some tape on there.
Mm-hmm.
And then I actually got some more plywood and like for the ceiling, and like went ahead and put like 12-volt LED lights, 3 of them, like down the center.
Nice.
And that way I can run those lights off the same deep cycle battery that I'm using to charge the other stuff. You see what I'm saying?
Yep.
And like, so they're not like running off the truck or anything like that. Like, it's all just, part of the battery that's in the trailer. So like that's what's so cool about an enclosed trailer, is it's almost kind of like unlimited possibilities of like what you can set up in there. Like if you want a bathroom, if you want a kitchen, if you want air conditioning, if you want, like
is
all
that
these
what you're
things.
using now? Is that what you're using? Like, I know you had that little aluminum trailer for a while. That was pretty neat.
Yes, I still have that. So what happened was, I still have that in my collection. I have 3 trailers. I was planning on this year. I bought it in December. I'm like, I'm gonna make this really cool, enclosed trailer so I can set it up for my battery equipment and yada yada. But what happened was we ended up scheduling a trip a camping trip as a family, like in February sometime, and so I got it done. All those things that I mentioned. I painted it and all that. It takes a long time to do all that.
Sure.
A lot of work. So I got it done before the camping trip because I was thinking, man, this thing, it's brand new. The trailer's brand new. No mower smells or anything like that in there.
Yeah.
So I'm like, man, because we were going camping down at the beach, and I'm like, wow, instead of a tent, let's take this thing. It'll be a million times better. Have all the lights. It'll be insulated. If it's cold at night, we have a heater. It's because we had power hookup where we were camping and everything.
Right.
That's another thing I did. I got like a little has like a little flap you open. Basically, I made like a 2-inch hole in the wall, and then you can just plug extension cord on the outside of the enclosed trailer, and then on the inside, you basically have the other, you have an outlet. Well, it's not really an outlet. It's almost just like the end of an extension cord.
Right. Like shore power.
Yeah, it's just basically just transfers it through the wall for you so that you don't have to like have like a ghetto like hole in the floor in the trailer or anything like that. So almost like an RV, you know what I mean? Like you just you lift a little weatherproof little grommet flap thing and plug it in. So I did that. Put one of those on there. I got it on Amazon, maybe $15-16. While I had the wood off of the walls, I put like a 3/4 inch square piece of plywood around the hole, so that way it, when I'm screwing it together, from the piece on the outside, piece on the inside. Yes. So it has something, so it's not just the flimsy metal that's kind of holding it. You know what I'm saying? Did that, and so we had power in there. So anyway, all that being said, I have like a switch in there that operates those lights. Had the deep cycle battery set up in there. Have like a counter up front, and I have the switch built in. Like I got these 12-volt switches on Amazon, and I cut the little hole so like on top of the counter, right over towards the right side, the little switch is like made into the counter. So you just press it, and the lights turn on. Anyway, so we end up taking that thing camping. And we really, really enjoyed that. And so now we've actually taken on a couple other camping trips. And so so what happens is it's like, I won't soil it with mowers yet because we're going to take it on this, trip coming up. Right. And so I keep doing that. And so I intended on using it for mowing, but so I have that trailer sitting out in my yard, and it's, this whole year's not been touched yet, lawn care wise. But what I'm thinking now, because we actually enjoyed that so much, I think I'm actually going to buy another one, convert it the same way, and then make this even more of like a small camper set, like put air conditioning in here, like really just keep going with the whole little camper setup with it while it's still brand new, all that, you know what I mean? And so I intended on that's what I was going to use this year, because for me and you. The debris obviously is a little bit of a issue because I do a lot of pine cone sticks, every day picking up piles of stuff. It's not necessarily grass clippings, but clippings from the shrubs that grow fast, all this, a lot of similar stuff like you. So what I'm thinking I'm going to do is get another enclosed trailer, do the same thing, because it wasn't very expensive. I mean, $200-300. Like I got all the insulation, all the lights, all the I got a gallon of exterior Oops paints, kind of like a tan-ish color. Just painted all the inside. You know what I mean? Because it doesn't.
Yep.
I don't care if it's like a perfect shade of whatever. I just wanted to like paint the walls, paint the walls and the ceiling, just so they, so it kind of looks. I don't know. It's just so it's not just bare wood. You know what I mean?
Right.
And so I did that, and so $300. Buy the insulation board and the wood and the paint and everything. So anyway, so I plan on doing that again, and having, I guess, I don't really want 2 enclosed trailers sitting out in my side yard, but but I might do that because I really want that set up. And then what I plan to do with the debris, which you have a dump insert, but kind of doing the same thing right now, with the open trailers, and I have like a bed cover on my truck. I'm putting the debris and the equipment on the trailer. And some of the equipment, is under the bed cover out of the sun and rain in the back of my truck. But if I switch over to this enclosed trailer setup like I'm hoping to, then I'll remove the bed cover, off my truck, and then all the debris from the day is going to the back of the pickup truck is going to be used just for the debris, you know what I mean? And then, and then the trailer, I want to have every single thing, like every single hand pruners, all the different, like Milwaukee, edger and hedge trimmer and all these attachments, everything hanging on the wall. Have every single thing like organized, all these different little pruning tools and shovels and, all this stuff that I want to be well organized in there. Maybe even some irrigation parts. And so is that what you do as well?
Everything. Yeah, I have everything. I never, there's no unload. So when I first started out, I had a small open trailer. Then I went to a small enclosed trailer. And now I don't, now I have, it's a 16-foot enclosed trailer, but everything's on there. So I never have to, I lock it up at the end of the night. There's no unloading. I have everything. I've kind of figured out, like, there are a few things that few hand tools that I don't keep with me. But all of my shovels, rakes, pruners, chainsaws. I even have, like, on the ceiling, I have one of the orchard ladders hanging up in the ceiling. I don't take them all with me, but if I think it's a 12-footer is in the trailer at all times.
That's nice.
Yeah, just in case, like, sometimes I'll be on a maintenance client's house and they say, hey, can you, dead branch or whatever, I've got it with me. But I have everything. And all I do is in another month or so, just for weight I don't know if it makes a difference, but I remove the bigger blowers.
Yep.
I keep a smaller blower on there. I'll remove a few things that I know I'm not going to be using. It gives, I don't know, it feels like it gives it a little bit more room in there, but for the most part, yeah, I just keep everything in the trailer and it's super organized. My gas cans, everything is in there. So I'm doing one thing, like most of the time I get home and we got about an acre. I live in about an acre. So like I've got a section of my yard. It's for the truck and trailer and stuff. And for the most part, I just pull in, and if I don't have to go anywhere, the truck stays attached to the trailer. And it just cuts down on so much time. Just especially not having crew or anything like that.
Right.
All of that adds up at the end of the day to
now. Are you
tired I am?
Are you unhooking the trailer every day and then going and dump the grass out of your truck? Or are you just how are you doing that?
I probably should, but. So I have a really good setup with where is a local farm that allows me to dump there. So it's not that close to my house. It's not far, but I try to maximize the amount of load.
Yep. Before you drive over
in
there.
The heart of the growing season, I have to, because like I'll fill up. It's an 8-foot dump insert with some sideboards on it, and I'll fill that up with grass clippings easily in a day. So in the heart of the growing season, there's probably like at least 3 days a week where I've got to go right, and be empty for the next morning. I just took my leaf box. I built a leaf box in the fall. I have the leaf vacuum and all that stuff.
Yep.
This spring was the first time I left the leaf box on over winter to check, for spring cleanup. And that did work out. Cause again, I can do a couple of cleanups, one day, maybe I didn't fill it up, and then I can fill it up, maximize my times going to the dump. So that way I'm not going every day if I don't have to, just save on fuel and time and all that stuff.
Yes.
For example, today, I'm still doing spring cleanups and a lot of bed edging and then taking the material away from that. So I don't quite have a full load yet. And I know the job that I'm going to do tomorrow, a lot of that material is going to stay right on site. So I saved myself a dump run today. I think all of those things, it's obviously different. Being a really small company, it's easy
right.
to maximize all of that stuff. But I think that's like where all the devil's in the details. That's where like your profit and loss can be made on a lot of stuff like that. If you're running around all day long and I'm trying to be as efficient as possible.
I mean, if a customer has this one shrub they want swapped out or whatever, if they bought it at the store and it's sitting there, you grab your shovel out, boom, you swap it out, you're done. And I guess it's different for different people. You know, some people are cutting these wide open, big old areas, and so literally all they need is, string trimmer and a blower and a mower. But like for me
Right.
and you, I'm just as much of a gardener as I am mowing.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, exactly. On most of my properties, most of the clients I have, um, while I'm doing their weekly mowing, it's more of like a weekly maintenance. I'd say at least 70 to 80% of them, I'm weeding the beds the day I'm there mowing.
I do the same. Yep.
And our shrubs and plants don't grow quite as fast as you guys do, but still we have ones that, it's not like I'm going to do all of your pruning all at the same time because plants require different pruning cycles.
Right.
So
right.
I may be doing certain pruning, on a mowing day. I might just be deadheading some roses or whatever it is. I'm doing that all at the same time for the most part. So that helps having all of that equipment right on the trailer at all times. It's hard for me to do it, to see it doing any other way. I mean, again, we collect the grass, so like it is fun to, if you were to just have a stand-on mower and you're letting grass fly, and but that's not really common here. I just saw for the first time someone drive by my house with one of those ramp racks on.
Oh, I got you.
That's really
yeah,
rare.
those are cool.
Yeah, that's rare around here. So maybe things are changing and people are going to get used to not collecting grass clippings, but the norm around my area is definitely collecting the grass clippings
And so how are you getting it out of the hopper, the Navigator, into the back of the truck?
That's always been the challenge, and I've sketched out so many different semi inventions that I'd like to make or something. My best solution that I have right now. So a lot of people run walker mowers around here as well.
Yep.
And seeing them do it, some guys will. If you have a crew, it seems to be the best way to do, a walker or Navigator is to just dump it onto a tarp, and then you and one other person grabs the tarp and flings it all in. I tried doing that by myself. That's not happening.
Yeah.
So then I was doing like the green barrels, like those big green barrels, but that's, there's a lot of weight there. And for me, I'm thinking like longevity, like how do I keep doing this for a long time? So right now I have found these barrels they're Rubbermaid, and I got them at Granger. They're square, they're short and square. They're like the gray short barrels, but they're square, they're red. And I have two, and they fit sort of under the hopper, and I can kind of like lift the hopper up. And what I try to do is every time, obviously I'm close to I'll drive the machine over to the truck.
Yep.
And I rather lift several buckets, several barrels that are lighter than two really heavy barrels. You know what I mean?
Yes.
But as much as I love the Navigator and my Exmark, I don't know. I do see that maybe someday in my future, maybe a walker with the high dump, because I'm always thinking about like, okay, what is the thing that will stop me from being able to do my job as I get older?
Mm-hmm.
And that is the most heaviest thing that I do repetitively. Edging the beds and things like that we do once a year is a lot of labor, but you're only doing it like once a season. Mowing, I'm doing it every day, so it's like obviously sitting on the mower is not that big of a deal, but or string trimming, I don't find I can string trim all day long. I don't see that being an issue, but definitely lifting up that grass and getting it into the truck can be challenging.
Yes. And what about I seen some guys do it with like those like plastic totes that maybe you put winter clothes in and you put in your attic, you know what I mean? Or
Yep.
Like some guys will take two of those and like set them next to each other, like right under the walker hopper, and like dump it in there, and that half of it kind of falls.
Yeah, the Navigator actually makes one of Julio's got them. They make these like bins that you slide into the hopper. so that you're not even dumping, you're just opening it and you slide the bins out. And I think that's how Julio's been doing it. And that seems like something that's interesting too. The only downside to that is I do have a few properties that I do where I'm dumping on site, and that's just like luxurious. You just back into their wood, like a couple of them have these little spots where, so that's awesome, and you get to use the machine to its full capability that way. So what if I bought those bins, then it would be just these two big bins laying around in my trailer when I'm not using them. So that would be kind of, I thought about it, but I haven't, but having breakfast, it was about like a year ago or so. I was having breakfast with some friends in the area that are in the industry, and one of them, he was the one that was like, think about what. He's the one that put that idea in my head of like the walker with the high lift, because he was just thinking about, he's been doing kind of the same thing where he's working by himself a lot, and he was picking up equipment that basically, you don't want to spend the money on the equipment because you say, it's expensive, but in the end, it's you're working by yourself. It pays to have that equipment because it just makes your job easier, in the end. So I may go down. I wish Exmark would make that as an option. I would definitely buy it in a heartbeat, but they don't.
Yes, right. Yeah. That is one thing. Like even in like today, there was these 5 like they're kind of they're like old Abelias that are like, they ran their course. They're probably 20 years old. They're not really producing anything. They just look terrible.
Yep.
And they're probably as high as like, a dresser in your room or whatever. And there's 5 of them. They're big and bunchy. And so like, and that I knew I had to take those out at this yard, no big deal. I cut some of the roots with the reciprocating saw and dig them out. So, but anyway, hauling them, like I have a 14-foot trailer, and then I have like angle iron welded every 2 or 3 feet. That is, I think, 3 feet tall. So it had the rail plus 3 feet, so you have 4 feet.
Yep.
And so I have plywood, it's all painted black. Kind of looks like a dump trailer, but it's not a dump trailer. It's just like a, it's just a non-dump trailer.
Yep.
So, something like that, like in your situation and in my situation, like it was nice. Like today I took that trailer because I knew I was going to rip all those out, and, I didn't want them blowing around and stuff. And with those walls, like even though it's an open trailer, nothing really blows around, because it's shorter than that wall. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I was able to just throw them all in the front, drive the mower up into it. And I'm doing that with sticks and things. So that is one thing that, like, even in your situation, maybe we're open trailer, because you could back that Navigator backwards up on the trailer like you probably do on every trailer, and then just dump it in the front, Yeah.
Yeah, there's some cool ideas out there. I saw some at the GIE, and there's a local guy I'm on the West Bay, and he's on the East Bay of Rhode Island, which Rhode Island's really small, but he made it's kind of sketchy looking, but he made an open trailer where it has a set of ramps on the trailer that line up to the top of the dump truck. So they back there. It doesn't actually, they're not actually dumping their clippings on the trailer. The trailer like has the ramp, so you drive up on the trailer and then up on another set of ramps, and you're above the dump of the truck.
Yes, yeah.
And he dumps in the back of the truck. And that's it's kind of crazy. You got to know what you're doing, but definitely a cool setup. And like I said, at the expo, I saw a couple of like basically half enclosed trailer, half
right.
dump body.
Yeah. There's several brands that have those over there. Yeah.
Yeah, and that again, it's a cost. It's an upfront cost that you have to. And the more that I refine my business and figure out what my long-term goals are, that could also be an option. Right now, I haven't like necessarily pulled the trigger on anything like that because I am carrying. I do have a trailer that's set up for a 2-man crew, and I am carrying 2 mowers and 2 of everything and stuff like that. If I ever did something similar to Julio, or like if that's a retirement, like, semi-retirement type mowing situation, yeah, definitely. I could totally see something like that where I'm backing up and just dumping right on location. Or maybe I'm not collecting grass in 10 years. I don't know.
Right. Well, but I mean, like an open trailer, because you can always just like dump it on the front of the trailer, like back the mower. But then you got to deal with like, when you drive down the road, like the grass is gonna blow all over the mower and stuff, and
right, yeah.
Which that's where you could make like small walls, even if it was like 2 feet walls, like just up in the front section. I mean, they're things that people. I remember Top Notch because I don't know how long you've been around YouTube, but like.
Oh yeah, Brian.
Yeah. So like back in the day, he had all kind of different setups like that on his open trailer with his walker mowers.
Yep.
And so that would be, I guess, be an upside to the open trailer, because then it would be pretty easy to just like shovel it off of the trailer, and then you're not you're not lifting anything. You know what I mean? You're just backing the mower up, just dumping it right there in the front.
The only other caveat to my setup is the farm that allows me to dump my compost there, my leaves and grass, is like, I don't even know how many acres. It's 100-acre property or whatever, but it's a long dirt road that I have to drive off of. So getting a trailer back there would be.
Oh, I gotcha. Yep. Because you're able to just unhook the trailer, and then do you have a if you have a backup camera, then that makes hooking and unhooking the enclosed trailer a lot easier.
What I tend to do is right now, obviously, since I'm I leave the trailer at home and I'm just driving the truck down. You got to go down this like long dirt road that's on their property. So to drive a trailer on that dirt road would be like next to impossible. Well, not impossible, but definitely
too time consuming. Yeah, back down there or whatever.
It'd be kind of ridiculous. Yeah. Just to navigate it all. But it's interesting. I love all of those little, like I said, I don't think like a larger company or somebody with crews and stuff, I don't think these little things matter as much. I could be wrong, but definitely when you're doing 100% of everything, all of that little stuff adds to, the enjoyment of the work and being able to get as much work done as possible.
And do you, like, my truck's old, so it doesn't have a backup camera built in, but like, so I bought one that has like its own little unit, like the old GPS units back in the day. And then the camera, I just spliced into the reverse wire, so that it powers the camera when you
throw it.
So I didn't even have to run a wire all the way up to the front of the truck. And that that's a game changer if you're hooking up heavy trailers, because you can just put the ball right under there. Yeah.
Yep, I have so my truck's a little older too. It's 2015, but it did have a reverse camera built into the tailgate. But when I put the dump body in the tailgate,
I gotcha. Had to get rid of that.
So I took it off. I disassembled it from the tailgate, and I actually have it on some really strong magnets. And so
that's cool.
Yeah, so most of the time it's in one position, and it's aiming at the ball where the trailer is, and that like you said, I can get pretty close without the camera, like everyone else can. But there's a lot of getting out, getting in, getting out. If you're by yourself,
right?
So now with that, it does. It's like you're right on the money. And then what we like last fall or the last couple fall, my cousin has helped me in doing fall cleanups, and I have the leaf vacuum mounted on the tongue of the trailer. And what we'll do is there's enough wire, enough cable on that reverse camera that will take it, since it's mounted to magnets, and we'll move it up on the tailgate. So if we're collecting leaves that are in a long pile along like the curb or something, we run in reverse, and the guy that's in the cab can see the guy working in the back that's sucking up all the leaves. And
I gotcha. That's cool.
Yeah, because you're making a lot of noise and there's a lot of chaos going on and stuff.
Yep.
And this way, you can see them in your mirrors, but I've got the big leaf box on, so you kind of can't, can't see everything. But he's just looking right at the camera. He can wave you back and forth or whatever needs to be done, tell you to stop or whatever.
And that way,
that's
you know that you're not like backing over them or stuff.
yeah. What like again, like just a little thing that makes it, just that much better all around, enjoyable and efficient and everything. But yeah, super cool.
Well, I've kept you way longer than I told you would because we started talking about something.
Right. Yeah, that's okay.
So it's a 2015 truck. What color is it?
It's blue. So my favorite color vehicle is green, and I've only owned one green vehicle. So I don't know how that happens, but I also have a 2012 GMC 1500 that I bought blue, and just bought them used and stuff.
Yep.
And I don't know why, but I kind of fell in love with that color. So now my uniforms are blue, my hats are blue, and then when it came time to buy this truck, it happened to be blue as well. So I don't know if that's like by accident or if I'm just attracted to blue trucks.
Yeah, that's cool. So what color is your enclosed trailer then? I'm just trying to paint the picture for the guys, like what this looks like.
The trailer's black. Again, I bought it used. The trailer's black, which doesn't do well. That's not great for heat.
Right.
But yeah, it was. I actually got a really good deal on the trailer because the first trailer I bought, which was a 12-foot, I bought that new. But then when COVID hit, I bought that pre-COVID. And then when COVID hit and we had all the shortages on everything, I ended up selling it like 3 years later for more than I paid for it, which was crazy.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it was good. But then trailers were expensive all of a sudden.
Right.
So I ended up buying this one used, and it it was like a wash basically. But I upgraded in size for the same price as the old one, so that was good. Yeah. I try to keep everything. I got like red-ish colored sideboards. I try to keep everything looking as neat and tidy as possible. Not always the best.
What like gas do you run? Like steel, like trimmers and stuff? Like
yes, I use the 94R, but I use the combi. Yeah, so I've got two of those. I'm on my third. I think those are. I've used a lot of trimmers in my day, and I've always been, even though I've only been in business for a few years, I've done landscaping with my dad and others for a long time, and I've used a lot of different trimmers. And I do like, overall, I find that to be one of the best, that 94. It's not the most powerful, it's not the lightest, it's pretty light overall. So I started buying the combi version, and they're just my go-to. I have one that I've been using daily, and it is 10 years old. I bought it in 2015, which is a long time for a two-stroke trimmer.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, and I just bought a new one last year, and they have not changed. Like, the only thing they've changed in that trimmer is where the push button, the primer button is. So
I gotcha.
I think they figured that trimmer out pretty good. So I use those for steel for the trimmers. I've got Echo blowers, the 755 and the 9010 and an 8010.
I gotcha. Yep.
Yeah,
I had the 8010. I like the 8010 for sure.
Yeah, the 9010 is I have a love-hate relationship with the 9010. It definitely does its job. It is the most uncomfortable backpack blower I've ever worn. It is, after like 6 hours, 6 hours, 8 hours, man, it kills you.
It's beating on you a little bit, isn't it?
Yeah, and a friend has a still, I don't know, one of their big ones. I don't know the model number. And
the 800 is kind of the biggest, goofiest one they have. The 800.
Yep. I think it might have been like a 6 or something. Is that right?
Yeah, they have a 600. They have a 700, which almost looks just like the 600, but the fan is a little wider.
I put that on, and it felt like a child's backpack compared to the Echo. Like the way the padding was, the way it kind of like wraps around you. It was so much better. I've had good success with the Echoes, and they run forever and everything, and they do a good job. My 755 is old.
The The
I think I bought.
755 does not have good anti-vibration and stuff, so I'm surprised you like that thing. I don't like the 755.
Yeah, it's been a great machine. I think I got that back in like 2011 ish.
Mm-hmm.
Um, maybe get a carburetor or something like that, and it's a good like daily ish mower. I mean blower, but yeah. But I don't think I'm going to buy any more any more Echo leaf blowers. I think I will. They not that they're bad machines or anything, but the other ones are just so much more just comfortable. I'm only getting older. I'm not getting any
Yes.
younger. So
This year I bought one of those Red Max 9000, and that is the best blower that I've ever used.
Is that the one with like that fancy injection system?
Yes. I have one.
Yes. Okay.
I ran it this whole winter.
Yeah.
And I have never pushed leaves off a property as fast as I did, with that blower. And like I said, I had the Echo 8010. Like it's not, it's on a whole nother level. I'm telling you, that is, in my opinion, that is the king of the blower. It's loud, but it's not any louder than the 8010 or 9010. It's not any louder than that. But it's loud, just like those, like they're
right.
They're kind of they're on the top end of the loudness spectrum, or for equipment kind of. But I would, when you go to the expo this year, try one out. I'm telling you, like it has so much power. In my opinion, like hands down, it's worth every penny. They're a little more expensive than like even the 9010, but there's sales and stuff on them all the time. You can get, now they even have the Husqvarna one, like the orange version.
Yep.
I believe it's called the 590 because, the 580 BTS is like, the one they had forever in Husqvarna line. But yeah.
My local Echo dealer is also a Red Max dealer, and he has I've seen him on sale every now and then, that Echo backpack blower. Shout out to Mark over at Kent County. He's great dealer.
The Red Max, the 9000 with the auto tune.
Yeah. I've seen like every now and then he'll post something about it, or actually when I was in there just like a couple of weeks ago picking up some mix, they had them on the shelf. So people are definitely buying them. I'm imagining.
Yeah, I mean it's just I love it. Like if I had zero problems with it, and I ran it every day, for the whole leaf season. But, like the Echo, like right now, I'm not wearing that thing around to, blow off a driveway. Like I'm not going to do that. But, I mean, you could, and, certain times if you get a big storm or rain or something, maybe you would pull it out. But for the most part, yeah. But it has a very good anti-vibration system, which was improved over because in previous years, the Red Max 8500 and all that, they just had like bushings. They didn't have actual springs, whereas even the 9010, it has spring isolation. And the steels, they have spring as well. But now the Red Max, it's all owned by Husqvarna. But, they have the spring system. It's good. It's really good. And it's cool. Like there's no choke buttons or anything. You just pull it,
Oh, that's cool. Oh, I didn't realize that. Yeah, I knew there was like some kind of new.
Well, because it's auto tunes it, like it knows if it needs to be choked or not, or that kind of. It's cool. And so I would highly, highly check one of those out when it comes to leaf season, because I just think it's the best one that I've ever used.
Yeah.
And then that's great. So you got a great setup. I appreciate you taking your time, tonight to come on here and do this with me, and really hope to see you at the expo. 19. There'll be a lot of new stuff from 5 years later. There'll be.
Yep. Yeah.
And this is gonna be the biggest
I'm
expo ever.
To it.
So.
I think we're gonna try and get a couple of guys to go. So.
I know that there are a lot of guys that come from Rhode Island. Like I don't know the area super well, but even Paul Kamara, is he far from you, or he's close, or?
No. Paul's in like the next couple towns over from me. Actually, that's who I went with the last time. The only time I went. But there are a couple of guys. There's Chris from a company called Wayside, and he went he goes a few years in a row with him and his son go down there. I think they drive actually, and last year one of my friends and Paul's friend, his name's Paul Faria. He was down in the Walker booth because he had the Walker with the 7,000 hours. I'm not sure
Oh, I
if you
got
saw
you.
it.
Yes, I saw that. That's cool.
Yeah, that was Paul. Yeah, he's got a few Walkers. Super nice guy. And Walker had them out there for because he's 7,000 some odd hours on a original Kohler engine on that thing. So
Wow.
that was kind of neat. I wish I was there for that, just to see him for that. But yeah, they somebody drove the machine down there for him, and then it was kind of neat to see him there.
Wow.
Doing that.
Well, that's awesome. Well, yeah, again, let's catch up again soon, and like I said, I really hope to see you out there. It's going to be cool. It's going to be, Wednesday night, you're invited to dinner. Paul Camara came with Julio. I don't know. Maybe it wasn't last year. It was the year before. Maybe it was last year. I don't know.
Yeah.
They blur together, but
yeah,
it would be great to hang out with you, and come
Appreciate
hang out with us.
Yeah.
That would be cool. I don't know fully every event, that's even gonna go on this year, but it's gonna be good. It's gonna be really good.
Nice. Yeah.
So let's stay in touch. Thank you so much for emailing me and encouraging me, just like in the podcast in general, because just like I said in the beginning, like it can just feel like, man, I'm just like riding around just talking to myself in my truck or something.
Not at all. Yeah. I'm listening.
Yeah, it's a little different than YouTube, because YouTube you can see right away, like when people leave comments and stuff. But in podcasts, it's kind of a little different. It's just like, okay, you put this podcast out there, maybe people are listening, maybe they aren't. I don't know.
Yeah.
So I mean, you can see some stats, but like I said, it's just it's just a different kind of setup, from YouTube.
Yep.
So, but it's cool. It's really cool. I mean, it's I hardly watch any YouTube videos, but I eat up all the lawn podcasts I can. You know what I'm saying? Just like you do as well.
Yeah.
So,
yep.
And so I hope even more guys pop up and do it, as time goes on too, because people fall out of it. Because like I said, without this interaction, it is hard. It's easy to. I guess I would say it's easy to burn out on doing the podcast. It's easy to burn out.
Understandable. Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, thank you so much for coming on tonight, bud. And tomorrow, let's get out there and kick it. I got a big list of things to do, and we're trying to go camping this weekend. Again with the trailer. So
Good luck.
Yeah. So we're gonna do that. So that means tomorrow I got to really, because right now in the spring doing all the ground cover and stuff, I'm working Saturdays and whatever. So if I'm not doing that this week, I got to really put in a long day tomorrow, which I'm cool with that. But we're gonna But anyway, bud, thank you so much for coming on, and I will talk to you soon.
All right, thanks, Tony. Have a good night, man.
All right, see you, bud.
Thanks. Yep. Bye.
Bye. There you guys have it. That was an awesome time. Awesome friend. It's so cool to have someone on the podcast. It's a blast. So I'm going to get this out to you right now, real time. I don't even know what date it is. It's like Wednesday or something. So it's time to get a podcast out. I'm going to put it out right now. And, I'll talk to y'all in the next couple of days. See ya.